ready to see my movie?
What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Christian here again with another video. I'm back, and today we're playing After Image Strike characters because in my opinion After Image Strike got buffed in the last patch. And before you go into my comments saying I'm spreading misinformation, have you ever wondered why we see so many After Image Strike users right now? Before the patch we weren't really seeing them, they were kind of like a niche pick. But now we see them all over the place on ranked and in quick play modes. Well, like I've said before on this channel, changing a mechanic is not the only way to nerf something. You can also buff the counterplay, but it also works both ways. And in the case of After Image Strike, the counters are Perception and Ki Blast, which just so happen to be the two mechanics that got absolutely gutted in the last patch. And to make matters even worse, scaling to damage also indirectly buffs After Image Strike because After Image gives you free unearned resets. So all of these things together just make After Image Strike completely busted again, just like in the base game. And that's why I'm against excessive nerfs in general, because just like an ecosystem in real life, if you mess with one thing too much, you are indirectly messing with everything else, and something else will fill that vacuum, okay? And that's why these patches never seem to put the game in a good enough place, because these devs are just not smart enough to predict how these changes will affect metas or even how the game is played in general. They're completely oblivious on cheese tactics like After Image spam, so they just keep repeating the same mistakes. And the biggest culprit to After Image Strike being broken again, in my opinion, is the lack of perception out of guard. Yes, and right now I just pissed off the whole entire audience because I know you guys hate perception out of guard. But at first I thought it was dumb as well, but I'm not gonna lie, that mechanic kept a lot of things in check in this game, and now that it's gone, when you're caught blocking, you basically are kind of screwed. So in the case of After Image Strike, it basically forces you to attempt Perception raw or run away to shoot Ki Blast, because back in the day you could have caught a hit with a guard and attempt a Perception out of guard, but now you are unable to do so, making After Image Strike even worse to deal with compared to before. So basically the person who has After Image Strike basically can just shoot you for free with Ki Blast, just waiting for you to attempt a Perception raw, and then they just can punish it whenever you do so. So basically at best, After Image Strike just slows the gameplay down to a crawl, and at worst it just hands a automatic win to the user, okay? So overall, in my opinion, the mechanic just kind of sucks. Even when you succeed as the user, you end up just pressing square to win, which in my opinion is just not fun and fair. And if you follow my channel, the rule for mechanics on this channel is, are they fun and are they fair to play against? And in my opinion, After Image Strike is not fun or fair to play against. So in my opinion, this is actually a mechanic that deserves a heavy nerf. In my opinion, the number of after images you get when you activate after image strike should not be unlimited. It should have a time limit, but it also should have a limit on the amount of times it actually procs the after image. At most, you should only get maybe 3, allowing high skill players to kind of super counter 3 times and get out of the reset loop. And this would make after image vulnerable to super explosive waves and giant ball ultimates. So it would give it kind of like a counter, kind of like a wild sense. You know, if somebody has a wild sense, you could do a super explosive wave and punish it. So it would balance after image strike a lot better. But right now it's just completely busted in my opinion. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go about fixing after image strike, but my overall message of this video is more towards the community concerning nerfs, okay? I feel like everyone is constantly calling for nerfs, nerf this, nerf that, but ultimately we got what we wanted. The game has been nerfed to all hell. A lot of the stuff that you wanted ultimately got nerfed, and I don't think the game is a lot better for it afterwards, okay? Long range neutral is suffering. It's very awkward. Whenever you are at long range, people just spam R1 or the block button and they swat the air like idiots to make themselves immune to ki blast. Mid-range options are still very weak and questionable, so the only thing left for players to do is just engage each other at close range and nothing else. And a lot of high skill players are noticing that neutral itself gets reduced to super counter wars anyways. So theoretically, you can win the neutral battle the whole game and still lose matches, which is pretty crazy. Of course, that's if the super counters even work, because the connection inconsistencies sometimes just cut off your vanishes or cut off your super counters in the middle of matches. So I mean, this game has a lot of issues still after the patch. It's like all the pieces have to come together to make this game fun, but the devs would rather just start the puzzle over, blow it up, and put the pieces back together in random ways than work on it a piece at a time. And that's ultimately why Sparking Zero is failing, because players don't have unlimited patience to wait for the devs to get up off their ass and fix the game, especially when more games are coming out. But we have one more DLC to go, so let's see if Spike and Bandai can pull off something in the 4th quarter and actually get this game in a good state. Let's see. So I'll see you on the next video, and I'm glad to be back. Peace out.